It's hero time! It's hero!
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a good month since I've uploaded anything, but I'm back now, and after a quick poll vote for my community tab, today's video is going to be on Ben 10. And the game I picked out is a very popular Ben 10 game called Omni X, and this game is interesting. Very interesting, to put it lightly. To begin the video, let's start off with the positives of certain features and stuff that I've taken notice of. My favorite thing that they added to Omni X was, instead of the same transform to get a new alien mechanic, it's based off a level system that requires you to be a specific level to get a new alien, which is honestly both a unique and a new mechanic to add for a Roblox Ben 10 game that I've seen in forever. And aside from some problems I'll discuss in a later chapter, it's an alright mechanic in game, and not only do you get new aliens the more you level up, you can also obtain both the recalibrated and ultimatrix, the latter being more difficult to attain for obvious reasons. And speaking of aliens being gained through leveling up, you can, no joke, get way big at exactly level 80. Yes, I'm not even joking, you can literally get way big at level 80, which is completely insane being honest, both in a good and a bad way. I'll elaborate further on attaining way big later in the video. There's also the alien models and how they were made. And in terms of visual looks, they're alright. In terms of design, one of my especially liked ones are Upchuck's design, while others can vary in quality.
Please don't pet me. No petting, thank you. I don't want to be petted. Do not pet. You can go pet your mom or something. No petting, no petting.
They aren't completely bad, but at the same time, they aren't really the best to look at. And that's all for the main positives. Yes, I know that was a short one, and there are other things that I liked about playing the game, but those are small and in between, and I'll drag the video out. Now we can move on to the rest of the video, which will be highly negative. So you have been warned. Now let's move on to the game balance. Yeah, I'll just outright say it. The game's balance is completely terrible. Like, there's barely any alien that doesn't either one-shot or deal way too much damage with just one singular attack. And one alien that's perfect for this example is Feedback. Now, I have a question for the developers. Why does Feedback deal so much damage where his attacks can just deal one-shots to both humans and most aliens alike? And before you type in the comments on how busted Feedback is in Omniverse and how he withheld a universal destroying bomb, I would like to point out that all of Feedback's feats revolve around him absorbing energy, or absorbing a raw power source. In this game, you literally just go Feedback and instantly kill or nearly kill someone with one attack. Now, that's not me saying other aliens don't have this issue. But with those said aliens, they deal at least an okay amount of damage, and doesn't deal more than half health, unlike Feedback, who can somehow be clockwork in this game. Another great example of this game's horrible balancing is Heat Blast, a newly reworked alien that's just as, if not more busted and unbalanced than Feedback, who can casually deal half health damage to aliens like Humongousaur. And he's even worse than Feedback, because at least with Feedback, you can both fight on the ground and stand a chance at winning. But with Heat Blast, who by the way has flight abilities when flying, with one allowing him to teleport using fire, he can just snipe you with attacks in the air consistently until you die or give up. And then there's Chromostone, who's surprisingly the most tolerable of the other two aliens, with his main one-shot damage dealer having a large cooldown. Albeit he could just still fly and spam his laser attack until the cooldown is over, but he is still the most tolerable. Next up on the list is this game's PvP.
It is a trap. I see you got your knockoff Omnitrix working again.
This game's combat system is one of the worst I've seen in a long while. It's as terrible as the balancing of this game, and word of advice, if your game is unbalanced, then your PvP will suffer just as hard. This game's combat system is so utterly inconsistent and dull that you can have fights that will drag out painfully for 30 minutes or last a simple 2 seconds. The former being helped up by this game apparently allowing you to use your hoverboard during a fight to run away and recharge your Omnitrix, which, speaking from personal experience, is the purest example of actual aids. Due to this being something you could do for some reason, it turns fights into chase sequences that only end when the other person gives up or dies. That's not even getting into the actual fights, which, despite the huge player count, is an actual rarity to see anyone fighting someone in game. To fully understand why the PvP sucks, let's talk about the M1s and how mediocre and barely serviceable they are. Not only do the M1s break sometimes when you're in certain alien forms, especially when you're either forearms or Humongousaur, but the hitboxes for them are just the worst, to where you can't even hit the other person with a single M1. This especially goes for giant aliens like Waybig. To sum it all up, this game's combat needs a massive overhaul, quickly and immediately. And now, we get into the game's raid system. When you are first leveling up in Omni X, the game gives you two options. One, you wait an incredibly long time for levels by transforming normally each time, or you can start a raid and gain a number of levels to helping you in your grinding progress. Now on paper, this sounds great. It doesn't turn the game into an AFK farm session. But the way the devs executed this concept is just so boring and tedious. Every one round you complete, you'll have to fight a number of Forever Knights. Now what makes this a boring slog is the repetitiveness of the whole raid being fight X Knights every time. A cooler way to do this raid would be to fight a different variety of aliens to fight that have different powers and abilities. Or, for this context, it could be a set of Forever Knights with different attack patterns and abilities. But what we do get instead is a grey blob of knights who don't even have an attack animation coming towards you at a slow pace, especially in the third round where your game lags them to move at a snail's pace, making it weirdly both super easy and difficult to kill them. Also, when you die and get kicked out, you lose 5 levels and have to try again to regain those levels. Which I had to ask the question of, why would the devs ever add this as a punishment? Why would there need to be one at all? Why would any dev add a level loss punishment onto one of the only things players need to effectively level up? That's the definition of a counterintuitive redundancy a dev can do to their player base, especially for new players who actually need the levels. On the topic of raids, there are 2 others. Technically the Alien X one doesn't count as a raid and more of a complicated puzzle to complete, so I'll skip that one and talk about the Ultimate Raid. It does an alright job at being an actual raid, and it's the type of raid that actually deserves for you to have losing levels as a punishment, because the reward, aka the Ultimatrix, is actually worth obtaining. But the biggest flaw with it is that it screams of artificial difficulty and unnecessarily overpowered NPCs, to the point where you're forced to use only 1 or 2 Pacific aliens to win, and there's still a good chance that you lose if you mess up once. Yes, I know, I sung this game's praises about how unique and interesting the concept of leveling up to gain aliens and other things are, but when I talk about how flawed the leveling is, the flaws I'm mainly going to talk about is how slow and again, boring it is to level up normally. Whenever you transform once, you get 1 level, and you have to absolutely, obviously, wait for the watch to recharge. If you do the math right, you'll have to transform 180 times to get all the classic aliens unlocked, and another 10 to get the recalibrated Omnitrix. And I know, the raids exist, as I previously mentioned and ripped into a few minutes ago. But even with the raids, they barely help you in gaining levels quickly. On average, when you complete a raid, the normal amount of levels you get without using any special tactics or strategies are 3 to 4 levels, which is just beyond abysmal, being honest with you guys. Even if you use aliens like Grey Matter to try and get more levels, it just turns the raid into, once again, a boring slogfest where you have to wait for tens of minutes on end to get any decent levels from the raid. And if you disconnect or the server shuts down or you get bugged, you're going to be shit out of luck. Overall, the leveling of this game is just bad, or at best mediocre, and I hope it gets improved upon in a later future. Now, some of you may start to scratch their heads at this part of the video and ask, what's wrong with the map? Well, for me to answer this question specifically, I have to ask the honest question of, how do I get the Omnitrix? How do I obtain magic? How do I get Osmosian? How do I get any spec without searching up the answers on YouTube or asking on the Discord server, which, by the way, isn't linked in the game's description. The current issue with the map in Omni X is the lack of direction on where anyone is supposed to go and how to get to that place to get a spec. Like, can it kill the devs to add a sort of tutorial that helps players navigate this huge expansive world we're in? And even if new players knew where to go to get a spec like the Omnitrix or Magic, the travel point is way too far away to just simply walk or run over there by yourself. And to repeat myself, from experience, I had to help 15 players once go to where the Omnitrix was, and that wasn't even the only server I had to do that in. The map is way too large, and I personally believe certain things need to be cut from the map that don't add anything lore-wise or in-game. Cough! This water dam, cough! Woo! There goes another long video for you guys. If you liked watching this long overdue video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you all later.